Hello and welcome to how to share any tab in Google Meet, the definitive guide. So we're going to start with, this is your Google Meet space. Obviously this is an empty Meet just for our purposes here. And if you notice, first off, I have a bunch of tabs that are set up top. So I've got a Google slideshow, YouTube video, a Kahoot game, a Google Doc, a Pear Deck presentation, and the actual session. And so I'm going to kind of go through these things individually about how best to use the present tab option in Google Meet. So one bonus thing is actually a regular PowerPoint, which is over here. And something that will help you is the fact that you can run slideshows outside of full screen mode. So if you go to the slideshow tab here, and then click Setup Slideshow, you have an option here that says Browse by an individual, as in a window. And you go, okay, cool. And you go to OK. And so what that does is it actually creates a PowerPoint slideshow just within this window, which is going to be very helpful for us in a moment to present. So again, one thing that you may want to do when you are presenting is you may want to do what's called split screening, which is taking whatever window is the display, what you want to present, and you're going to drag it until you see sort of the shaded square, and that's going to lock that into place, and it's going to ask, okay, so which do you want to be the other half of the screen right now? And you can click your Google Meet. So now I've got Google Meet, and I've got what I want to present. So when I want to present, now slideshows are a little bit different from PowerPoint. In fact, that's going to be a window instead of presenting a tab. So this is the only exception. And as you notice, my PowerPoint slideshow is right here, and I go to share. So a few things that you should know about sharing PowerPoints is that it will not play video with sound. So just keep that in mind. If you do want to do videos with sound, especially YouTube videos, it is definitely best to use Google Slides. Now, one other thing I did want to bring up is the fact that most of the time when you see that you are presenting, you see this little screen here, which is great. But if you want to actually see what it is that you are presenting, you'll notice that this little window over here says Presentation You, and then there you go. So the thing about split screening that is just something to keep in mind, especially when it comes to PowerPoint windows, is that you do get these black bars above and below, and it doesn't quite maximize the slideshow. So to do that, you can actually click on this window, kind of drag it off, and what you'll notice is that the Google Meet window, the presentation window, will basically take the shape and the size of what you are presenting. So now our PowerPoint is in more of a full screen mode. So I did want to show that one off a little bit for anyone that's still using like regular PowerPoints, that this is a good way to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we don't really need this anymore. So we'll get rid of that. Cancel. So we're going to stop presenting. So we're going to click back there, and we're going to go stop presenting. That's one way to do it. You can also do that from here. So let's talk about our different slide options. The first thing is Google Slides. So you will go and now click Share, Present a Chrome tab. And one thing you want to always double check is that Share Audio is in fact checked. Now, one thing to bring up is that when you go and share a tab, you kind of have this little mess. So these are all of your Chrome tabs that you have open, right? So one of the pieces of advice I have for you is that when you're running a Google Meet, to close your Chrome tabs that you won't need, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. Otherwise, this gets really complicated unnecessarily. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go share my Google slideshow here. So I'm going to go to share. Now it brings me, oops, that's actually not even the one I wanted. Sorry about that. This is the one I actually want to share. Let's try that again. All right, so I'm going to go share a Chrome tab, and now I'm going to pick the right one, electing the president. That's the one I want. So much like every other Google slide, you will see present. Now, one cool thing about this is that when you click Start Presentation, it actually will present it in the window view and not in like full screen. So you can still jump back to your Google Meet. You'll notice now that the presentation audio switch is set to on when you're presenting a tab. So you do actually have that option to turn it off midway through if there's like video or sound or something, particularly with Kahoot that you don't want to watch. And again, you can go and click this to see what your students are seeing. So you do have to run through your slideshow from Google Slides by clicking. You can click the video will work, the video will play, right? So you can go ahead and do this. Yes, 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 that's great. And as you see in the video, in the Meet tab, it's playing. All right, so we'll stop that. We'll kind of go ahead. We got some more videos. I did like this lesson on Electoral College. But yeah, that's basically a Google slideshow within Google Meet. So that's nothing too big or too crazy. So you are presenting. Yes, stop presenting. All right, so we're going to stop presenting, go back to this. Presenting a YouTube video is going to be pretty similar. So again, we're going to go to present now. And we're going to go back to our Chrome tab. And then we're going to find our YouTube video. So that would be like this one. And again, we got to make sure share audio is there. And we're going to go to share. And again, it takes us right to this tab, right? So now the active tab is YouTube. And so we're going to go, we can hit play. The other thing that you're going to want to do is you want to go full screen mode, which is this little icon here. But again, it's not true full screen mode. It's just actually taking up the space in the window. However, in your Meet, it does look full screened, which is great. So the kids can see it as big as possible. So YouTube, pretty similar. All right, so nothing too big there. Okay, so Kahoot. A lot of people like using Kahoot, which is great in distance learning. Kahoot's going to be slightly different, only because you want to make sure one of the things that we have kind of open here is we do have our other like Kahoot screens. Right? So when you go to launch your game and hit play, it's actually going to give you the tab here to go play your games. This would be the code. This would be everything else. So the downside to this is that when you want to go and present, both tabs are just listed as Kahoot, which is kind of annoying. So you can actually go ahead and close the setup tab here so that when you go to present, the only thing that you see for Kahoot is in fact the game. So you can go there and you can share your audio, which is cool. Now we go back to you're presenting with audio. One thing to notice is that it's actually presenting with the Kahoot audio. You can actually see the little sound go up and down. Now, one thing about Kahoot too is that it has full screen mode. That's this. And that is actually really useful both in Blackboard Collaborate and Google Meet so that you can see the entire screen within your meeting. So you definitely want that enabled. Other thing cool in Kahoot is that you can change the lobby music. I'm a big fan of 8-bit. You can make it funky, all that kind of stuff. You can also mute the lobby music, which might be helpful right now. So you will have to run your Kahoot again from this screen and not your Meet screen. However, your students are going to see Kahoot just like they would on a projector. So that is something else to kind of keep in mind is that while you can hear your students, they might, give answers, all that kind of stuff like out loud. Seeing them, quote unquote, in their cameras is not necessarily what you can do easily unless you're switching back and forth between the tabs. So that would be Kahoot. You run it, have some fun. Cool. And Google Docs is the same thing. If you want to show like a Google Doc, So if I want to go and look at a worksheet, so now I can kind of go over this with my students, like, okay, this is what I expect you to do. Look at the activity here. You're going to fill out the schedule. You're going to pretend you're a presidential candidate running through their day. You got to keep in mind now, separately, they'd have like a document of restrictions and what they did or didn't have to do. And all that would have been shared on Classroom ahead of time. So you can use this to look at individual work, to present it, to kind of demo what it is that you want done, scrolling up or down. And of course, the students are just going to see this tab scrolling up or down. So there you go. And so again, we kind of look at it and that this is what they see. All right. All that is good. The last consideration to make is going to be for Pear Deck. All right, so I do have a Pear Deck session ready to go here. And I also, when you open it, you also have the Pear Deck. This is the teacher interface. But again, you're running into that same issue where it says presentation session, and then this tab also says presentation session. So which one are you sharing? One thing you can do is if you want, you can always join your Pear Deck session yourself from a different device, like a phone or a tablet or something, using this code, and that brings you to the teacher interface, and that works out great. The other thing that you can do if you still want to use this window here is actually close it, which sounds nuts. However, when you present to the students, right, so the only Pear Deck tab you're going to see is the one that you actually want to show them, right? So this is the one that you want. They're going to, of course, see this, and you're going to instruct them to go to joinpd.com on a separate tab, enter that code, and follow along separately there, right? But then also say that, hey, you do need to come back to the Google Meet tab occasionally to see when I show responses, right? So now when this is presented, now you can actually click this link at the bottom to reopen that teacher dashboard. And you will use this teacher dashboard to go ahead and run your Pear Deck sessions, right? So just like you normally would going through, right? And you can actually even see that this is what is being shown in Meet. And this is our presentation here. So you can go and you even see what the students see in Meet, and you can show responses. Obviously, there are none yet, but that still works just fine. And it shows in a nice big window for students to see. And so you're still using this window to run your Pear Deck. Those are all the different types of tabs and how to utilize them in Google Meet and how to present them to your students. So the one big thing that I would totally advocate is to make sure that the tabs that you want to use for a given class are all set up one after another here. It'll make your life way easier. Be sure to bookmark them. You do have the option to bookmark all tabs. And if you bookmark all the tabs, you can actually put them in a new folder for a particular class. So if you did want to try and set that up a little bit ahead of time, particularly with a YouTube video or slideshows, that will have like a consistent web address no matter what, even your link to your Pear Deck session, you can save that in a new folder. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it. Right? And save all of those. Right? You can save all those tabs into that new folder, as I just did. So in there, we've got that, and we've got all of our tabs here, right? So we can go ahead and launch them when we want. Be careful with your Google Meet. The Google Meet address does change occasionally. So you might not want to, quote unquote, bookmark that. But the other tabs you can go ahead and bookmark. So that's pretty much it in terms of how to use the new share a Chrome tab option in Google Meet. And a lot of this also plays out if you're using Blackboard Collaborate, in that you still want to have your resources and what materials you're bringing to your students available quickly, just so that you can transition from one to another and not really lose momentum as we're doing distance learning. So I hope you enjoyed this demo. I hope you found it useful. And yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, all those great YouTube things, especially as I go forward and hopefully give you guys more videos in the future. All right. See everybody around.